Hello, and welcome back to my Caliente Kitchen, where I offer you caliente nutrition topics and, of course, caliente delicious recipes. And today's caliente topic is all about MSG. I've partnered with Ajinomoto to tell you all about MSG. Ajinomoto is the first leading manufacturer of MSG. Let me tell you a little story. You know, I grew up in Peru, Lima, Peru, and Ajinomoto, MSG, was used in many of the dishes, and they were delicious. And of course, once I moved to the United States, completely I stopped seeing MSG. I have another story for you. In the 1960s, the myth of MSG began. And what happened was that this Chinese-American doctor wrote a letter to an editor of a scientific journal. And he was explaining what he felt after he ate Chinese food. So it was an anecdote. This was not a research, it was just a letter. And said that he felt weakness and numbness. And then the editor called this syndrome, they call it a syndrome, the Chinese restaurant syndrome. And that's how the myth began. Then, of course, early research of MSG had many flaws in their study design. Well, now it has been 30 years, and we know now that MSG is safe to use. Not only that, actually, MSG can be used to improve heart health. MSG is a tool that can actually help reduce sodium, and this is what we're going to talk all about that today. I'm very excited. I have 4 delicious recipes that I'm going to use and show you how MSG can help with flavor and how it can help with your heart health, because February is Heart Health Month, of course. All right, so let's start with soup. I love soups. I mean, especially in the winter, a nice warm soup is always delicious. And of course, soups can be very nutritious. But what happens with soups is that you have to add a lot of salt for flavor. And now they become not so nutritious and especially not so good for your heart. So what I recommend is to use MSG. So how is that? Because MSG has 2/3 less sodium than salt. So if your recipes call for, say, 2 teaspoons of MSG, I would recommend you use a teaspoon of salt and then a teaspoon of MSG for your soups. If you do that, you reduce the sodium by 40%. And that's it. Now you have a soup that not only has less sodium, but actually tastes delicious. Now, speaking of taste, I have another example here, how MSG enhances taste. Vegetables. So let's talk about, since we're talking about heart health, you know, a lot of people think that they need to reduce sodium to improve their heart health. But that's not the only thing they need to do. We also need to improve our intake of potassium. Potassium has been shown to improve heart health too. So you need to do both. Reduce sodium and increase potassium. Now, where you find potassium? Of course, in fruits and vegetables. Now, here I have vegetables because they also have fiber, and that's good for heart health. But, you know, working with thousands of clients and years, 20 years now, working in the field of nutrition, many people, even adults, which is funny, adults don't like vegetables. And the main complaint is because they're bland, they don't have any flavor. So I tell them, use MSG to enhance flavor, because MSG can help enhance flavor in plant-based foods. Now, how does it work? MSG is umami. Have you heard of umami? Umami is our 5th taste receptor. MSG contains glutamate. So that receptor, the 5th receptor, gets activated by amino acids. And glutamate is an amino acid found in many foods like Parmesan cheese, tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, you name it. Also, glutamate is needed for our body functions, such as brain function, even intestinal function. Glutamate, an amino acid, is a natural amino acid found everywhere, and our body needs it. So this is how actually MSG helps enhance flavor, because wakens up your fifth receptor due to the glutamate. Now I have another example here for you. I'm gonna move this soup here. I have fish here, I have salmon. So I like seasoning my salmon with MSG because actually helps with flavor. Now MSG is natural. It contains 3 natural components. It has 78% is glutamate, 12% is sodium, and 10% is water. Now I like to bake this salmon with lemons and MSG, and is delicious. Now think about it. Glutamate is a natural amino acid, as we say, found in many foods and needed for our bodily functions. Sodium is an essential electrolyte that our body needs, and water, of course, you know, we all need water. So MSG, monosodium glutamate, it contains 3 natural components that our body uses. Now, salmon, since we're talking about heart health, is a good source of omega-3. And as you know, omega-3 is a good fat, and it can help improve your heart health. So now here we have something with less sodium and omega-3, good for the heart. Now let me tell you about this last recipe I'm gonna make here for you that I created, and it came out amazingly delicious. Caliente, I will say. I'm gonna move this here. So this caliente recipe is actually, I will start thinking outside the bowl. I like to use savory dishes, especially for breakfast. And I have oatmeal here. So normally in oatmeal, you add salt for flavor. So in this case, I'm gonna add MSG as well, because we'll enhance the flavor of this savory dish by increasing, of course, the umami flavors that I'm gonna add. I have so many umami flavors here. On this pad, I actually have sauté mushrooms and onions, and talk about umami. Another umami flavors right here too as well. So I'm actually going to pour the mushrooms and onions that I sauté with this oatmeal that I actually cooked in water. Just read the instructions in your box. Cook with water with half the salt that I'm supposed to use. Because remember, you want to use MSG 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of MSG, or half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of MSG. So now, the last ingredient that I'm gonna add here that also is umami is Parmesan cheese. Yum. This dish is like a risotto oats. It's called creamy savory oats. Quite delicious. I really love this dish. I made it last week and my entire house was eating it like there was no tomorrow. All right, so then I'm gonna sprinkle a bit of parsley in here to add a little more flavor. And look at that. This looks amazingly delicious. All right, of course, you know, every time I make something, I have to taste. So I'm gonna actually pour that in my plate here. And this looks good. Oh, look at that. And because I wanna use this for breakfast, I actually fry an egg. And then I'm gonna pour the egg that I fry here. So hold on 1 second. Very good. And look at that. I'm gonna show you that in a second. Whoop, there we go. Look at this. Delicious, creamy, oats with mushrooms and MSG is so good. All right, I'm gonna give this a taste because I'm gonna grab some Parmesan cheese with oats. Hold on one second. So good. You need to make this dish. So I'm sure the recipe card is showing there. Give it a try. As you can see, MSG has been used in many different dishes. Not only enhances flavor, it's safe, it actually helps reduce sodium, so it can help to improve your heart health. So for more information on MSG or how to use MSG on different recipes, visit Why Use MSG. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed today's caliente topic. And until next time.